Hello, guys. Welcome back to our webinars and trainings. Gonna wait for a minute for everyone to join, and then we will proceed with the agenda. We're happy to see you again. Awkward moment of silence. Great. So it's been like a minute now waiting for everyone to join. People will be joining later. That's okay. Again, welcome to Distilogix trainings and webinars. Today's training is really special. The technology vendor SyncDog is a very disruptive technology vendor that is truly changing the landscape of enterprise mobility security. And enterprise mobility security has a long story. People wanted to make sure that when we give you corporate laptops or mobile phones, that these are secure and that when you connect to the workload in our environment, to make sure that it is safe. You're not an access point where you allow people to hack into our systems. And that's why we used MDM and mobile device management systems to control your laptops and employ policies and enforce policies and make sure that we plug in every hole that could be a risk when you use your laptop. Today, it's an absolutely different because enterprise mobility today has a much different scenario and it's a different setup today. People use their personal laptops and mobile phones. People access corporate workloads from different locations, from different angles, with different apps and different leads. And we've got
Mohammed,
now.
just a second. Your voice is tuning out a little bit.
Okay. Okay, I'm not going to take long, guys. So
Now it's better. I think you came closer to the mic. I think it's just your distance.
Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you. So today is really huge. The training. What SyncDog is doing is showing you how we will manage enterprise mobility security in the coming few years, and how we address challenges of privacy, how we address challenges of cybersecurity too, how we separate personal applications from work applications. So I would like to thank Ted from SyncDog, who's with us today. He's our hero. He's our presenter and trainer, and he will demonstrate the product for us. So without further ado, I'll pass it to Ted. Please, guys, don't be shy. Ask questions. Keep it interactive. You can ask questions in the Q&A, and we will answer them as along the presentation. So to you, Ted.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We're looking forward to the conversation today. And again, if you do have any questions as we start to go through either the slide deck or the actual demo of our solution, please feel free to jump in at any time and ask any questions. We want to make sure that you have a good understanding of what we do, what we offer into the marketplace, and that you have the ability to actually have those conversations as you go back and talk to your clients. So definitely appreciate you taking some time today. So I'm just going to share, if you give me a quick second. And I just want to ensure that everybody's able to see the deck.
I can see it, yeah.
Okay, great. And if there's any issue as I start to move forward with the slides and you're not seeing a change, if anybody could just alert me a little bit and I'll slow down and wait for the internet to catch up a little bit. So we'll just go through some quick introductions from the SyncDog side, and this is just the agenda we want to talk about today. I'm not going to go through a lot of slides. I sort of just want to set the table a little bit and give you a brief introduction of SyncDog and talk a little bit about some of the challenges of BYOD and how we overcome those challenges. And again, if there's any questions as I walk through, please feel free to jump in and ask any questions that you have. So my name is Ted Bienkowski. I work on the sales side here at SyncDog. I'm joined by a colleague of mine, Eric Katz, who will actually walk you through the demo of our solution as well, and Brian Eggenreiter, who's our Chief Revenue Officer, who will be joining us as well. So thanks very much for the time. I appreciate everybody taking some time out and learn more about our solution. So MDM is a great solution, right? It does a lot of very, very good things. Enforces passwords and, blacklists and whitelists apps and things of that nature. But there are some limitations and some challenges that come with MDM. And again, MDM is a very good solution. We offer an MDM solution within our platform. But as far as mobile security or data security on a mobile device, that's not what it does, right? So it's not really encrypting the data on the device. It's enforcing an MDM profile. So in a BYOD environment, you're really losing that privacy on the personal side, right? So what SyncDog really does is, we do data encryption and containerization without having to put a MDM profile on the device. So there's a complete separation between your work environment and your personal environment, and the two never interact. So that's very important, because we not only do we secure and encrypt at the highest level of encryption, that corporate data to protect it, but we also give the end user that privacy that they require, so that they can, have those private texts, those email messages, those pictures, things of that nature that, that everybody handles in their private life, and that your corporation doesn't need to see, and you don't want them to see, right? So those are the two major issues that SyncDog solves in a BYOD environment, right? Really securing and encrypting that corporate data from any malicious malware that might be on the device, and really protecting the privacy of that end user, right? So basically, problem solved. Corporate data is secured, and end user privacy is adhered to. So it's really the best of both worlds, not only from the corporate side or the government side, but also from the end user side, the person who actually owns that device, right? So it's really BYOD done right, and I guess it's maybe the dream of what BYOD should have been, and now we're bringing it to the forefront. So again, talked a little bit about better security. So we offer a FIPS 140-2 certified AES 256-bit encrypted container. So that's your work environment. So it houses email, calendar, contacts, browser. So there's Signal messaging in there. You can connect to your OneDrive or your Dropbox or your BoxNet. You can actually work within Excel, create Excel spreadsheets, edit Excel spreadsheets within there, Word documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, things of that nature. So Eric will walk you through a little bit deeper on this solution. But again, this houses all that work data, and this is where everything would be housed that is work related. And then again, better privacy. Pardon me. So there's full separation of corporate and personal data. They don't cross at anywhere on the device. So whatever you do on your personal side, which is outside the container, remains personal and private. Whatever you do inside the container is actually what's happening for work, emails, different meetings, calendars, things of that nature, all your contacts. So again, full separation of corporate and personal data. And it's a better end user experience because it's really a desktop-like experience on your mobile device. So again, it's a single app you download. As you can see here, that's highlighted or encased red over there. So it's one single application that downloads to your device. And then when you open it up, you have all those work-related applications, right? So it really provides that secure, private, and better end-user experience that we talked about in the previous slide. I'm going to stop for a second and see if anybody does have any questions that I might be able to answer.
I think it's okay for the time being, yes.
Okay, no problem.
There's a question.
Or actually,
yeah,
a question just came up. So an anonymous attendee would like to know if SyncDog sits on top of all MDM solutions, or does it complement iTunes, Master36, and RWATC?
Yeah, so it can work in conjunction with an MDM solution, pardon me, on the device or without an MDM. So it could work either way. So if there is an existing MDM solution on a device, SyncDog can still work on that device. If you choose not to have MDM or replace MDM with SyncDog, it works both ways.
And that's especially important in a BYOD environment where personal privacy concerns or even regulations are coming into place, where you don't have to take control of that employee's personal device in order to secure all your corporate email and data and apps. So that's very intentionally a separation from MDM. But as Ted said, works in conjunction with it perfectly well also.
Ted, I'm not sure if we're getting ahead of ourselves, but just to clarify to the audience, I mean, the main difference as well between your normal MDM solutions like Mobile Iron and AirWatch and these other solutions is that you guys are truly separating. You're not taking control of the device that the users have. You're actually completely separating and creating this containerized environment that does not, mess with the person's personal device. If you can
You're 100% correct. So there is a clear and definitive separation between what you do personally on the device and what you do within the container. So it's two totally separate environments, right? It's, your text messages and your emails and the pictures of your cats and your dogs and your kids and your friends and all that other stuff is totally separate and never comes into contact with what's happening within your work container. Two totally separate environments on a single device. Any additional questions before we move on?
Indeed, actually, okay. Though Bassem Ibrahim would like to know if it supports Windows and Mac operating systems or only iOS and Android. Well,
yeah, as of right now, what we have is we work on iOS and Android platforms. In the very near term, it will be rolled out to Mac and Windows.
Okay, and another question is it a competition to InTunes and ADC?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? Is it
SyncDog a competition to InTune's ATC?
To InTune?
I don't know. Yeah, InTune.
I think he means InTune.
InTune, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as InTune is concerned, right? Is it competitive?
I mean, I don't know
if
if
competing with them.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, sure. I'll take it. Yeah, no problem. I got you. So what InTune is actually doing, and really what separates InTune from SyncDog is SyncDog is a totally separate encrypted environment. In InTune, in a lot of ways, what they do is first off, they're going to store their crypto keys in the key store on the device. So with a lot of new malware that has come out with Pegasus and Predator, those malwares actually target the key store. So they hack the key store, they get in, they take all the data they want, they close the door to the key store and they leave, right? We do not store our crypto keys in the key store, right? So even those highly malicious malwares that are out there, like Pegasus and Predator, cannot hack the information that's housed within our container, that corporate information that's housed within our container, right? So we're not individually wrapping those work applications and housing them on the operating system on the device. It's a totally separate encrypted environment using the highest level of Department of Defense encryption. So
I think the key,
if
you don't mind me popping in here,
yeah,
Ted,
go ahead, bud.
The key to us in InTune is still an MDM based solution, security solution. So to get the majority of the functionality you would expect or need to protect your data, you're going to need to install the InTune MDM agent on that device. Corporate owned or personal owned, it's still going to require the MDM. As Ted alluded, they do have app wrapping capabilities that will encrypt data within a single given app to protect that without MDM needed. But the big problem there, it's only protecting it at rest. So as soon as you send and receive, you copy and paste, or they'll actually say as a security feature, they'll prevent copy and paste. But let's face it, let's look how often you have to copy and paste data within a browser and paste it in an email, or take something from an email and put it into a Word document, that kind of stuff. It is a function of your daily work. So there's security aspects of what InTune's doing to try to accomplish this similar thing, but it's got a lot of holes, and especially the still storing the keys in the key store, which Ted alluded to, which makes it quite vulnerable to some of these attacks. But the point being is you're only going to get data protection at rest. You need to then apply some type of a VPN type of a connection in order to protect data in transit. Unless you're only looking at protecting email, so you might get some protections there. But InTune is trying to get there, but there's just it like most of Microsoft, it gets 80% of the way there, and then it kind of misses that last really important part. But if you're using InTune MDM, again, very complementary to what we do.
Additional questions before we move on?
Yeah, so just to clarify, because we keep getting this question about, do you consider yourself a competitor to MDM solutions like Intune, AirWatch, and Zen Mobile? I believe the answer is we can replace, with SyncDog, or we can run in conjunction with those other solutions and benefit from certain aspects of SyncDog. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. Yes. So if you think about it, so what really differentiates us from MDM is no MDM profile on the device, right? Separation of personal workspaces and workspaces, right? To be redundant. So there's a total separation. We're not taking over the device. We're not controlling the device. We're giving you an additional application that's a secure container that houses all that work information. So it can work without an MDM, or it can work in conjunction with an MDM.
Maybe a good summary would that be we're not necessarily competitive. I think we're just the next generation. We've taken a different, smarter, and more efficient approach where Intune, Mobile Iron, AirWatch, Manage Engine, Scale Fusion, they were all initially built to protect the device, ensure password and, allowing apps, not allowing apps, that kind of stuff. Protecting the data on the device was secondary or an afterthought, and they're trying to work their way back there. SyncDog has taken a next generation approach, smarter approach of saying, yeah, that device is important. It's a $500, maybe $1,000 asset, but what's critical is the data on that device. That's what the companies and government agencies are trying to protect. So SyncDog has taken a data protection first approach, and that's why it's more of a next generation. Let's protect that data no matter what device it's on, no matter if that device is controlled or not controlled, personally owned, corporate owned, that device almost doesn't matter, but we're going to protect that data no matter what. It's truly a zero trust environment, going back to some of the key store stuff, that no matter what attack happens, no matter what is put on that device, if the user on their personal side is downloading movies and gambling and using TikTok or anything that people are concerned about, while that personal side of the device, the pictures of your kids and pets, your personal email could be impacted, that work-related data within the SyncDog environment is going to be safe at all times. So it's that data first versus device first approach that makes it different and smarter and better.
Does that answer it, Omar?
Answers it for me. I hope it answers it for the audience.
Okay. Okay. Well, if anybody has additional questions, again, feel free to jump in. Yeah. We want to make sure you guys have a good understanding.
There is a question in the chat from Sayed Faiz. Is it on-prem solution or a cloud-based solution?
So we can work either on-prem, in the cloud, or a hybrid version. So we're very flexible as far as that's concerned.
And full identical functionality on all platforms. You'll see a lot of the MDM vendors saying they're on-prem, but it's really just email server capabilities only. It's very limited functionality on-prem. We are 100% committed to supporting a fully on-prem environment with 100% of the functionality. A lot of our customers are high-end financial, certainly military, DoD type of environments that on-prem is critical. So we are now, always will be fully supporting on-prem, as well as cloud, obviously.
Any additionals? No?
No, not for now. We're good with the questions. We can proceed.
Thanks, Nadir. Appreciate it. So here's just a look at the SyncDog platform overall. And we offer a modular solution, right? Because we understand not everybody can take advantage or needs to take advantage at the current time of the entire platform. So as I mentioned earlier, we do offer MDM. It is a very, very useful tool in the right type of environment. But again, what really sets us apart is our trusted mobile workspace, which is our secure encrypted container. We do offer mobile threat defense within that encrypted container, in addition to the productivity suite that I mentioned, which enables you to view, edit, and create different types of documents, so Excel, Word, PowerPoint, PDFs, things of that nature. In addition to that, you also have the ability to leverage our application framework, which enables you or your clients to actually integrate any of their native applications into our secure encrypted environment. So that trusted mobile workspace. And then on top of that, we also offer a private app store, which enables our clients to distribute native and hybrid apps without having to push them out to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. So again, it's a very modular solution, but as Brian mentioned, it's cutting edge. We don't really compete with MDM. We're you can either leverage us with MDM or without MDM, but especially in a BYOD environment, we're really solving the main issues with MDM and BYOD, where we're securing and encrypting the data. As Brian mentioned, that's what's really important, right? It's not so much the device, it is the data that's on that device and the data that's being leveraged on a personal device for people to get their job done. So enhancing productivity, but really in securing and encrypting that device, and also respecting the privacy of the individual who owns that device, so they can still have their personal pictures and email strings and things of that nature. So that's the deck that I wanted to go through. What I'm going to do now is going to turn it over to my colleague, Eric Katz, and he's actually going to walk you through a demo of not only our mobile app, but also, also our, sorry, I'm just totally losing. Brian, can you jump in there?
Yeah, so we'll go through obviously the administrative console, which is probably the most powerful aspect of the solution as well. It's early, Ted.
Sorry about that. Totally had a brain freeze there. So, Eric, are you able to share?
Not yet. It doesn't look like. I have not gotten any notifications that I'm able to share.
I need to promote you to a panelist because you joined as an attendee, Eric. So let me promote you as a panelist. You just need to accept that.
Yep.
Okay. You should be able to share now. But you're on mute, Eric.
Okay. Can everybody hear me now?
Yep.
And see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. So what I'll do is just give you what I have here so that you can understand what you're looking at. Is on the left-hand side, I have a screen share, and it's going to pop up here in a second, of an iPhone that I have in my hand. And on the right-hand side is our administrative console. So these things are used in conjunction with each other. The real power is in the administrative console, which gives an administrator the ability to really, at a very granular level, tailor the experience for the users. But we'll go through a quick demo of the application itself. So as you can see, as during the slide deck, there's a single application that sits on the desktop, the application side of the device. It's right here. After a biometric challenge, which is either Face ID or Touch ID, as necessary, whichever one's available on the device, or you have the ability to turn it off and require passwords, if you have super sensitive data that's sitting in there. You can choose to enforce fairly complex passwords. Again, that's all configurable by an administrator. So as you can see, and this kind of mirrors what was in the slide deck, that we have a variety of applications that we built into our trusted mobile workspace, which demonstrates that we cover all of the work-related activities so that you can stay within the confines of the trusted mobile workspace to complete all of your daily work activities. So you don't have to actually go outside of the trusted mobile workspace to do any of your work-related stuff. And this is really kind of important because then we don't have to worry about things like chain of custody for data. We know it all sits in there. You don't have to drag data out of the trusted mobile workspace or copy it or do all those kinds of things. Everything stays within the confines of the trusted mobile workspace. So we built our own email client, which is a secure email client, which works with a variety of email servers, which includes Exchange and Icewarp and Ted, Brian, yeah, there was the other Zimbra. Yes, thank you. I always forget that one. So it's works across those different email protocols. We have our own calendar client too, which operates exactly like Outlook would. You have your own different various views and stuff like that. So that available, as well as your contacts built in, that kind of thing. And all this happens as soon as you provision your device and provision your Exchange account. All this stuff gets populated into your device, into your trusted mobile workspace. So it's all there. You don't have to worry about migrating over to it or whatever. We also have our file manager, which is kind of important. So this is the place where you would store documents. And because it's within the trusted mobile workspace, they are secured. So all of your documents that you have to work with, you can actually use here. And let's see, it handles, all the images. And we also do something called briefcase, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But I can go in here and just like select a document, and we have a built-in reader, fully blown Office capability. So documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoints are all supported, not just for viewing capabilities, but full editing capabilities as well. So if you're on spreadsheets and PowerPoints, they're going to be a little bit small on a handheld device, but our application also works with the tablets too. So it would be a little bit better to be able to edit that stuff on a tablet. But this is still fully functional on a small handheld device. Documents, I can go and edit, resave, resend them back out to whoever I need to. Images, so we have our own camera roll here. Some of these are just getting populated in here. I just re-provisioned this device very recently, like within the last half hour. And I'll show you how that works. We have our own camera, and this is kind of important in that we maintain our own camera roll separate from the user's personal camera roll. So this is where we get that line of demarcation, that separation of concerns between the user's personal device and their work device. And their work, the work environment, sandbox. So if I go and take a picture, I'm going to just take a picture here of like my piano. If I go back out to the main photo roll, you'll see that the piano is most certainly not there. But if I go back into our application, go to images, here's my piano. So all of those images that you take within the trusted mobile workspace are kept separate. And this is, there's interesting use cases for this, the medical field, the legal field, all kinds of really great use cases for keeping that stuff separate from your personal stuff. As you might well imagine, for security, for sync purposes. So everything that we do inside of the trusted mobile workspace gets synced back to the server, so that when you have to, or when you want to re-provision a new device, you upgrade your device, you can actually resync, re-provision a new device, and all your stuff comes straight back to the device. You're right back where you left off. Or you lose your device, you want to provision a new device. or you want to keep a couple different devices. You know, you have an iPad and you have an iPhone, and you want you can provision both of them, and they'll stay synced up automatically. So you don't have to worry about, you know, oh, well, it's on one device and not the other, that kind of thing. We also now support Gmail, the G Suite applications like Mail, Contacts, Calendar is coming. We have Signal integration with our application now. We also support Dropbox and Box and Share and OneDrive as well. So you can actually start. You can actually log into your accounts on all of those and have access to all of your documents and all those different repositories available right on your trusted mobile workspace. Any questions so far with any of that?
Well, I don't know if Mohammed, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, there was like a quick question about pricing. So Precious, for pricing, you can come back to us at Distilogix, and we'll help you through the pricing and everything that's needed, like technical responses and comparisons and everything else. So you can come back to me or to any of my colleagues in the business development team or marketing team, and we will help you from there.
Okay.
There's also another question that was in the chat, but does it integrate with SharePoint?
So we don't have a direct integration with SharePoint at the moment, but it's on our short-term radar.
And one other question is, are there any capacity constraints?
Can you repeat that question? I didn't.
Is there any capacity constraints?
Oh, capacity constraints. No, it really only limited by the size of your device. But honestly, we have not seen a situation where a device wasn't large enough to contain all of the stuff that you would normally bring down to your device. It's really not a concern there. I have yet to see a device that hasn't been able to handle. I mean, today's devices are so big anyway. Even a 64 gig device would be plenty.
Okay, I think there are no more questions for now.
Okay.
Sayed has just put something in the chat, which is really a nice question. Which third-party identity provider can be integrated to achieve SSO, single sign-on?
So we don't have SSO integrated into the device side application. You create, when you provision your device, you create a login that is known only to that device. So, and really, I mean,
that's somewhat intentional.
It's intentional. Yeah, I was going to get there, Brian. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of intentional. We don't want somebody to be able to get into the device and then with the same exact credentials be able to get into the trusted mobile workspace. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the security of the trusted mobile workspace. We want there to be this wall so that not anybody can just pick up the device and get straight into the trusted mobile workspace. I mean, that would be, for really sensitive data, that could be catastrophic. Any other questions?
Is this the question from Sunil about SharePoint? Does it integrate with SharePoint?
Yeah.
We don't integrate with SharePoint just yet, but it's on our roadmap.
Very nice.
Okay. Do you have MFA?
Yes, we fully support MFA. In fact, I mean, I don't know if it's true over there in the United States. Exchange required MFA for their Exchange accounts within the last year. So this was a really good test of our solution. Yes, when you try and provision your account, your Exchange account, you're required to go through an MFA process, and it works just beautifully. Any other questions? Okay.
Can proceed.
I'm going to move on to, I'm just going to give an overview of the administrative console, because this is kind of the real power behind our solution. Once you log in, all of our organizations, we organize by organization. They are hierarchical. And this is going to become important when I describe how our policies are formed. So you go in and you get kind of a nice overview of your particular organization, the users, what your breakdowns are by device and all that kind of good stuff, how many devices got logged in, provisioned, and users and all that kind of good stuff. So we have users, they belong to organizations, and then devices belong to users. Okay. So the really interesting part here is, and you have the ability, I won't bore you with it, but you can actually go in and slice and dice, filter all of that stuff. It seems like a lot of data. You can go in and filter that stuff by a whole bunch of different facets to get to where you want to go. All kinds of, status levels and all that kind of great stuff, different device types. The really interesting part here is our policies. This is what I want to kind of dive into a little bit, because this really shows the power of our solution. We have something called policies, which get pushed down to the devices, and this really controls the user experience, or what the user is able to do. And because our organizations are hierarchical, there's a lot of solutions out there that you might have to tailor, entire sets of policies for users or devices. In our solution, because it's hierarchical, we actually build downwards. So you can set very high level policies and then start to tailor them as you go down towards the user. So users can be segmented to different sub-organizations. And then we can, you have the ability to override those policies, at lower levels. So you don't have to, you're not encumbered to rebuild entire policy sets. You really kind of tweak as you go down the tree. So kind of interesting here, and I'll just use this as an example. Well, actually, let me take a step back before I dive into that. We have different policy categories. And these policy categories are, because there's so many different ones, and we're kind of dreaming up new ones all the time. These are how we affect, the behavior of the trusted mobile workspace, like application access. Which applications are available on the trusted mobile workspace? How does the briefcase behave? What does the container do when do you want it to lock up after 2 minutes automatically, that kind of thing. And you can kind of toggle these on and off as you deem necessary. GPS, is there GPS? Do you want to be the device to be able to report back its GPS locations? Mobile threat defense. So we talked about this. I think Ted touched on this briefly. We have something called Imperium built into the trusted mobile workspace, which is doing a continual scan of threats on the device itself. Not that we're worried about the trusted mobile workspace being threatened, but this is kind of a value add, so that we can take action based on certain threat levels that are, the person installed an application, a threatening application from the App Store. Well, their device might be threatened, not the trusted mobile workspace, but their device might be at risk. And we can detect that with Imperium, and then take action based on that. And I'll explain that in a minute, what kind of actions we can take. Password policy, do you want biometrics to be on or not? If they're not on, what do you want the password? How complex do you want to make the password? That kind of thing. And you take screenshots within the trusted mobile workspace. Well, I mean, if you're in the medical field, I would say you probably don't want to allow screenshots within the trusted mobile workspaces. The data is highly sensitive. Our time bomb policy, this is an interesting one, and kind of an important one. So our application has the ability to wipe itself, just the trusted mobile workspace, not the device. This is not MDM. I use the metaphor of a sledgehammer and a scalpel. You know, with an MDM solution, if you want to wipe the device, wipe with an MDM solution, the entire device is wiped. That's the sledgehammer approach. With the trusted mobile workspace, it's more like a scalpel. You know, you have the ability to say, go wipe. I can go to a device and say wipe, and it really only affects the trusted mobile workspace. The person's personal side is not affected. It's just the trusted mobile workspace. So if you do issue a wipe for a device and the person goes back into their trusted mobile workspace, they end up back at the provision screen, back at the initial, you know, the factory provision screen. So really, and then you can re-provision again and you're right back where you were. So that would be a scalpel. So the time bomb policy is interesting in that we can detect how long the device has been sitting idle for a period of time, and then wipe the container based on that idle time. And this becomes important, you know, if you lose your device or your device is stolen, you know, for highly sensitive data, you know, a day, you know, you have government data on your phone and it's out of your hands. Well, I wouldn't want that to be you know, out there and available for more than one day. Or maybe somebody grabs your phone and sticks it in a Faraday cage and they think, well, as long as it's not communicating back to the server, I have as long as I want. Well, that's not true. The trusted mobile workspace is smart enough to self-destruct within you know, the set period of time without even being able to talk to the server. So, you know, within a day, it would just wipe itself, which is really a very powerful feature to be able to include with a trusted mobile workspace. So we have it set to 30 days. So if the device isn't, you know, it is not able to connect back to the server, or if it sits idle for 30 days, it's going to wipe. The trusted mobile workspace is going to wipe, not the device. I just want to make sure that everybody understands the differentiation there. So kind of, I'll skip back here to the mobile threat defense, which is kind of really interesting in that, just to show you how we can take actions based on, you know, different conditions that are on the phone. The most obvious one here is our mobile threat defense conditions. So I'll just go in here to, actually, let me go to this one. So if mobile threat defense, or as Imperium detects a high risk on the device, we can lock the container, which really means that a lock is issued. The person can't get into the trusted mobile workspace until the administrator is issued a PIN that they would have to give to the user to be able to get back into the trusted mobile workspace. And this is our way of saying, you know, you need to talk to your administrator because there's some threat on your phone and maybe you really shouldn't be on the trusted mobile workspace right now. There's something going on. So we can set up all kinds of conditions to be able to act on. We can set dates for when these policies, and this is true across policies, we have the ability to configure across policies. It's really only limited by your imagination, by the administrator's requirements, you know, administrative requirements, that kind of thing. We can issue it, we can set it bounded by dates or even times of day, or even geofence zones. You know, I want to make sure that they can't turn their camera on when they're in on the grounds of the White House, that kind of thing. That's just an example, you know. And you can set up a geofence, that kind of thing. So really very, very powerful set of policies. Is there any questions about any of that? I know that's a lot of information in a very short period of time.
There are a few questions which Nadir will handle, but I wanna get something before Nadir steps in, Eric, because I think we're a bit confusing the audience about SSO and MFA. So let me say something, especially I think the one that was asking about it is Riaz, I think, or Sayyid Riaz, yes. So there are two things. The first thing is how you access the SyncDog container, which is called the Trusted Mobile Workplace, the place where all of your work apps are contained and are encrypted and are kept separate from your personal applications and data. Accessing that cannot have SSO. That's done on purpose. We don't want anyone with one click to open your phone and open everything, including your trusted mobile workplace. No, this defies the concept. So accessing the trusted mobile workplace, which is the SyncDog container, the encrypted container that does protect your work apps and separates them from your personal apps and your personal data, this can be accessed only through the methods that Eric just showed you. It cannot go through SSO. Now, once you're there, once you're in that trusted workplace, mobile workplace, the container, once you're there and you have your apps, then you can configure MFA and you can access your apps the way you want. So it doesn't affect your enterprise policy when it comes to MFA or adding MFA to your exchange or how you access your email or if you want to do SSO. So I just wanted to elaborate a bit about that. And Eric, if you want to add more, just to clarify it, then we go. There are a few good questions here to go through.
Yeah, I'm just peeking at the questions here. So yeah, MFA, we certainly use, support Microsoft Authenticator. I don't know if we're limited necessarily to Microsoft Authenticator when it comes to MFA for Exchange. I think that's the I believe that is the recommended MFA authenticator is Microsoft Authenticator for use with Exchange. Yeah, so for Microsoft Exchange, yeah, we're using ActiveSync to do our email protocol. Can we avoid ActiveSync? No, not right now. Right now, we are using ActiveSync to do our email and calendar and contact exchange. What does SyncDog use to identify jailbroken or rooted devices? That's an excellent question. I know that we actually do this test all the time to make sure that if the container does detect a jailbroken or rooted device, it automatically wipes the container and goes back to the provision screen. So we do not support running the container on a jailbroken or rooted device. That's not something that's by design. Let me put it that way. That is absolutely by design. The policies from the Trusted Mobile Workspace are available in any MDM. So no, the policies that I've been demonstrating to you are specifically designed to work with the Trusted Mobile Workspace. I haven't gone into MDM yet, which, as Ted and Brian alluded to, we do have MDM solutions on Android and iOS. I have not yet gone over to that. I didn't know if anybody was interested in seeing that kind of stuff. But the policies that I was demonstrating are specifically geared towards the Trusted Mobile Workspace.
Which is an important connotation, Eric, to highlight, is that the ability to put these, most of the time, restrictive policies or additional steps needed to ensure security and things like that are limited to the access to the work-related data. And that's very important when you're allowing BYOD or allowing COPE, where you're allowing people to do personal email and personal apps on that same work device or same personal device where they're doing work. So you're not restricting them on how they handle their personal apps and personal side of the device. you're just putting these very strong controls where you literally can control the who, what, when, and where of how that work-related data is accessed without limiting anything on the personal side. So that clear separation of work and personal, the clear support of personal privacy, and the non-restrictive approach. I mean, we always say if your end user wants to have their phone password be 1234 and never change it, ever, that no longer matters to you. You can enforce all your password policies, how, if it's thumbprint, facial ID, or it has to be a complex password to access work-related data. So you no longer care about any of the personal things. You don't have to take control, this big brother approach, this, sledgehammer versus scalpel approach to how you're handling all data on that device.
Let's see, just answer a couple of these other questions. Can we wipe out the device if the user attempts to exceeded the number of attempts the wrong password? Yes, I believe that's one of our policies. Is that we can set the number of attempts and it automatically wipes.
Well, clarify that, Eric. You don't have to wipe the whole device. You can.
No. Again, we're not talking about wiping the device. We're talking about wiping the trusted mobile workspace. Yes. When I say, it's important to note. Yeah, within the trusted mobile workspace, we're talking about just wiping the trusted mobile workspace. Any app VPN? We really don't need a VPN. Our application uses AES 256-bit encryption to go to and from the server, which is, we're talking government grade encryption here, because this solution was actually originally developed with that in mind. That really exceeds VPN capabilities. So no, you don't need a VPN with our application. Now, if you're trying to ensure that somebody that you want to make sure that your users are already using, you want to force them into using the trusted mobile workspace to access their email via mobile devices. Well, Exchange can be configured to whitelist mobile requests to just trusted mobile work, just SyncDog clients. And we have a white paper on how to configure that. So really, VPN.
And that's the elegance of having our own email calendar and contact client, is that you can then restrict that email server that is the only client allowed. If imagine having Outlook in there, you wouldn't be able to enforce that out. If you enforce that Outlook is the only client that could access your email server, your work-related email server, somebody could easily just set that up on their personal side of the device. So it's a very intentional, very strategic approach of how this was built, that you can limit how that data is accessed. Again, the who, what, when, and where of how that data is accessed from any device.
Thank you, Brian. I think that covers all the questions.
There is just another one in the question and answers. It's like they would like to know if since there is storage for the apps and the personal use and storage for the professional use, does that affect the capacity storage of the device?
Well, I mean, anything that's stored on the device is going to take up space. So there's no minimum storage size required. No, it's really predicated upon how much shared data there is going to be pushed down to the device. It will grow as large as it needs to grow.
I want to add something to it, Eric, because I think the confusion here is that they think there is duplication of images and files. No, guys.
There's not. Yeah, but please go ahead.
Yeah. Absolute separation. So the photo that you take using your personal camera app will stay in your gallery or like images, whatever. And if you use the camera app that comes with the trusted mobile workplace or the container, then that's a different image. There's no duplication. We don't save that twice or something like that. They're absolutely separate. And what you have in the workplace is encrypted, cannot even be understood by any app that you have in your personal. So there is no duplications, and there is no unnecessary use of storage. That's the point. Yeah.
That's right. And also there are controls to allow just 1 week of email to be loaded on the device, or 2 weeks or 2 months. So if somebody is limited on storage, they can also limit how much is being actually stored on the device and encrypted. That's everything in our environment is that is stored on the device is fully encrypted. So yeah, there's a lot of ways of controlling how much is brought down or how much is on the device. But you're absolutely right. It's just like any other app that it depending on how much you put in is gonna utilize the storage of the device.
Yeah, thank you, Brian.
Do you support WhatsApp? There's a question here. Can we include WhatsApp in the trusted app mobile workspace place?
So not quite yet, but we just had a large government client contract us to build out Signal, which is what they were using, and we built it in a way that we kind of built a very elegant communication framework that sits underneath it. So WhatsApp is coming very quickly as a result of that work, and then Teams and numerous others will come right behind it. So we already support Signal, and WhatsApp will be coming very quickly based on how we built that.
Okay.
I think I've reached the end of my demo.
Are there any other questions that are coming up at all that we can answer? And I also know we're coming to the top of the hour, so just want to be mindful of everybody's time.
Yeah.
Well, there is one. Like, is there any chat secured app for company-wide communication?
Well, briefcase. Yeah. I think he's asking about, Eric, maybe.
No,
company-wide communication.
He's asking for chat, secure chat.
Oh.
Right. So Signal. Right.
Yeah.
Signal.
Yeah. So that would be the same as these messaging apps that we're building, because I think Slack is on that list as well. That's all coming quite quickly.
As I said, I've reached the end of my demo here. So
great. So, is there any questions, guys? I just want to have like my final thoughts. As we mentioned, as everyone has demonstrated today, what SyncDog is doing is an absolutely different approach. They have a different approach. As Eric, I think Ted said, it's a smarter approach on addressing the challenges of MDM. We used to have MDM to enforce policies and RMM to devices and install apps, and now it's a different story with having privacy concerns. I cannot prevent you from having doing screenshots on your personal mobile phone. It's illogical, and with privacy laws now, it's going to be a big problem. So the approach of having a secure container, AES 256 encrypted, symmetric key encryption. This is a military-grade encryption, guys. So encrypted container that keeps your mobile work applications away from your personal applications, secure, so that your mobile phone will not turn into an access point. It's not going to be a threat to your workload and to your enterprise environment. That's an awesome thing. People try to do secure browsing. They try to do app wrapping and isolation and everything. It's not as creative as what SyncDog did with the secure workplace and with the encrypted workplace. It's a major disruption. There are organizations that today depend even on freelancers. I've seen lots of agencies or lots of real estate agencies, and lots of healthcare providers that work with BDMs and everything, lots of things that you need to have. Even freelancers connect to your workplace. You need to make sure that these guys are not access points to bring risk or risky communication or mess to your enterprise. We do believe it's a major disruption to the industry. It redefines the enterprise mobility security in general. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys, like introducing them to customers, having demonstrations and presentations. We will be doing lots of these events similar to these ones, do lots of trainings, make sure that you're qualified and empowered to carry the message and demonstrate the product to your customers. Come back to us at any time at Distilogix. We're always there for you guys. It's me or any one of my colleagues from the business development teams. We've got people in every sales territory as close as possible to your region. And that's it for today. If there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And if not, then the training is done. Regarding the pricing, Mudassar, as I said to you, please come back to us. We need to know a bit about the case that you have, like the number of endpoints. That's as simple as that. Number of people or devices that you need to have the container installed on, and we will share the code with you soon. Okay, the quotations price. Do you have presence in KSA? We covered the whole region, Middle East and Africa, we work in KSA. We've got partners in KSA in Saudi Arabia, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Yes, we can support Saudi market. Actually, it's the biggest market we're chasing. Okay. Please come back to us, to me, or to any of my colleagues. I'll be happy to support you with your requirements.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Special thanks to you guys at SyncDog. You're awesome. Technology and people. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.